Hello and welcome, or welcome back. Today we are going to do a quick little sewing room tour. I did this about 6 months ago and I've made some adjustments and I have reorganized a little bit. I started an Etsy shop, so that's kind of changed the way that I use my space. And I thought I might go over some of the ways that I'm organizing things for anyone who might be interested in that. I think we'll start right here with this first side wall. The thread collection up there hanging on the wall. I have a Brother SE600 embroidery and sewing machine that needs to be worked on, but unfortunately it has been discontinued, so I've had a little difficulty getting that accomplished. I have some of my flannels. These are fabrics I use for baby blankets, and I do have a kids line now where I make tote bags and backpacks. These are some of the thicker fabrics, some fleece, some fur, some of the stuffies that I make. Here are some of the things that are located in those little bins on that shelf. These are some of my zippers that are custom zippers for very specific projects. This is a little organizer where I keep, it's kind of running low now, I need to stock up, my stuffed animal eyes, nose. Then I have several bins of this. That is my binding for the blankets I make. I have bins that have that binding, and then I have bias tape in these containers. On the very bottom down here, I just have different things that I've already made. Sometimes I go back and refer to the backpacks, looking at exactly how I did the lining. That's my felt collection, which turns out I use at Christmas and Easter, and I never have the color I need, so I just keep buying more. Down here on the bottom, these are just two miscellaneous bins that have paint in one of them and Christmas decoration. I make a lot of ornaments down there in the bottom one. In the middle shelf, I have some fat quarters in the blue container. Just all kinds of fat quarters. Some of them are a little bit bigger than fat quarters. And then this is my yarn and some rope and some twine in there. These two shelves are actually right now my Etsy shop storage. I am in the process of buying bins that I can then store in a closet in my house so they won't be exposed to the light. But for now, I have them out here. These are my boxy bags. These are my zip pouches, wallets, some other little bags that I make. And then down there on the bottom, we have my Cricut press and, of course, the Cricut machine up here on top. One of the things that's changed since my last sewing room tour is that these bulky fabrics I was keeping out in a bin, but as I've used them to make things for the Etsy shop, I brought them in here. I have some more of them over here. On this shelf, we have some of the stuffed animals that I make for my Etsy shop. And I call these the winters. Those are just some thicker fabrics that I use when I make my little backpacks. These down here are my Christmas and fall fabrics. These are some really thick and not just thick fabrics, but a lot of these are duck cloth. This is some beautiful fabric I bought to make a cute little stuffed animal with. I use a lot of these in my bags. Over here on this side, we have several bins here. I'll show you a little organization tool that I really enjoy having. This little case has been so incredibly helpful when you don't have very much space and you have a lot of little things that need to have a place. This is just perfect. I use it for so many different things, but the top row is for hardware, for my purses, my bags, my straps that I make, and then I also have bulk items over here because I do make a few bags that I make in bulk, so I needed to have the hardware for them a little bit more than what'll fit up here in this top little container. But then the second level of this box is all of my, and I don't do a whole lot of hand embroidery, but this is all of my embroidery thread that I use. Basically, I'm using it to make little faces on some of the animals that I make. I do use it a lot when I'm doing Christmas ornaments, that sort of thing. And then the bottom level is just like trinkets. You know, a lot of these are things that I used at Christmas when I was making ornaments. But just a wonderful way to organize small things that when you need them, you just do not want to go looking for them. And this shelf in the middle is more of my bulky fabrics. I've used a lot of that fabric for the stuffed animals that I make. I think that's just a fabric, an odd fabric bin down there. And then over here on these shelves, we have the Etsy shop fabric. And what I've done now, I used to have them organized by color and by type of fabric, and they still are somewhat, but because I was making things that I need to be able to reproduce if someone orders it, I have gone through and I have divided this shelf and this shelf. So both the top one, the middle one, and the lower one are all fabrics that I have already used in my Etsy shop, and they have also been numbered and categorized so that if someone wants it, they can order it and I know which fabric it is. This shelf in the middle is basically lining fabrics. There's a few over here that I haven't yet used, but I fully intend to. These are really mostly outer fabrics, but I have used some of these also for liner fabrics. These are flannels that I've used primarily in my kids' bags. And then over here, these are fabrics that I intend to use, but maybe have not used. All three, or both of these top shelves. Then these bottom two shelves are both duck cloth, some canvas, that kind of thing. These are some of the bags that I have made for my Etsy shop. I make these cute little computer bags, 13-inch and 15-inch. Scoot back a little bit. I have these tote bags that I make from quilts, some various other tote bags, this really cute little purse that I bought the fabric on Etsy, and then my kids line, these cute little stuffy packs and some backpacks. I am in the process of moving all of those items that you see hanging into bins that I can then put in my closet in the dark in a different part of the house so I can protect them from the light. I'm also in the process of getting closed cabinets for my fabric storage because living in Florida, the sunroom is not the place to try to store your fabric. This is new since I did my last sewing room tour. This is a new machine. This is a Brother CS7000X. It is a really nice machine to have when you have a straight stitch machine. That is the primary machine I use for making bags, even stuffed animals, really. So he's just my alternate machine, and I'm liking him so far. Does a really nice job. He's one of their highest rated machines in this price range. The one that I did have before, which I also very much loved, I gave to my daughter. Here's some of the things I have in the desk. I just call this a sewing tray. It has some needles, some tape back there. It has some pens. It has the equipment you need to take care of the machine. And then over here we have all of my different charms that I add to bags. I did this more when I was making gifts for personal use. And then this is my Wonder Clips. The bottom drawer is just junk. And then over here I have my drawer full of patches and appliques. And again, I use these more when I do make gifts, but occasionally I use them in my Etsy shop as well. My grandson, this is one of his favorite places in my house. This is my patterns. I don't use many patterns, but I have bought many of them off of Etsy as I try to start making more stuffies. And I make my own. My own patterns are actually in this binder up here so that I can reproduce anything that I've sold and be able to make it exactly like the one I made before. This is just my glue gun, some starch that I use, some of the quilting. And then this is the ironing station. And this corner over here is where I have bags of a variety of things, but interfacing, batting, some of the quilts that I've deconstructed that I'll talk about later. But this is and I'm really looking for a way to organize this because I have batting, fusible fleece, some heat and bond, I have fusible foam. All of the things that you might need to use your irons for are at that ironing station. And here's some more of the bags that I have on my Etsy shop that I promise they've only been hanging there a week and they're coming down. But I do love looking at them. I take an old vintage quilt that nobody wants or loves anymore, and I make it into these beautiful upcycled bags. This is my favorite machine, my Juki. And the cat that thinks that that's his piece of real estate there. This Juki is single stitch, semi-industrial. I bought it about 6 months ago, and it is the reason that I can make these beautiful, beautiful quilted bags with ease. It's made me look like a much better sewer now that I have a great piece of equipment. And then in this desk, the trade-off to have this great big desk is that I only have one drawer. And so it has a sewing tray in it, some of my bobbins. The machines do take different kinds of bobbins. Some of the equipment you need, some sewing machine needles, just the stuff you need to sew. Don't let us wake you up back there, bud. And this is one of my 2 Alex drawers from IKEA that has just some of my extra materials. It has some fabric glue, my frayed check in there, all my extra rotaries, cutters, and scissors. This is some of my heavy equipment I use for making my bags. I was going to make the little keychain pieces to go with some of my wallets. I haven't yet done that, but that's what that hardware's for. All of the drawers are labeled now. This is actually the label machine that I did that with. So it has mostly label stuff in here, but it has my laser light that I use, some of my business cards. And then this is my miscellaneous things. These are all of my labels. I store my fabric on comic book boards with these little clips now. This is just some heat and bond, extra clips. And then the bottom drawer is mostly things that go with my Brother 600 for the embroidery machine. And the other Alex drawer, put these together all by myself. The top drawer, I think the top drawer gives away what I did before I retired. I was a teacher. So it's just craft materials for myself and my grandkids. This is my zippers. This was the reason I got these. I needed a way to organize my zippers, and I still do, really. But they all fit in here. I know where they are. I know what I've got. This is all of my cotton webbing, a lot of rickrack, a lot of rope. These are what I use on my bags quite often, but not always. And then this is the kids' craft drawer with paint brushes, chalk, crayons. Maybe the biggest piece of furniture I have in my craft room is this IKEA craft table. It's a Norden gate leg table, and I absolutely love it. Both of the sides of the table flip down so that the table could be just this wide. And you can also just fold one down and still have plenty of room for whatever you want to use it for. This is how big it is all the way across. I think it's about 5 foot long. It has 6 drawers that I use for my Cricut things on this side, and on the other side I have ribbons and some of my bias tape up here. And I usually leave one side of it folded down unless I'm sewing, and then I pull up the whole thing. It's very versatile, and if I have company and I need to use this room, I can fold both sides down. It's just the perfect craft room table. Another really cool configuration for the craft table is to put one side of it down and then add my grandkids' little craft table here so that they can get their work done down there while I'm working up there on the sewing table. And that is about all of this organization video for my craft room. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope there's something in this information that you might be able to use as you set up your own crafting sewing space. And I will talk to you again soon.